On.
All right.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, welcome. Happy Sunday, everybody.
Hey.
And welcome to the semifinals for the B and C event, or I'm sorry, the C and D events. Just a reminder that the brooms up trailer is there until 1 o'clock. So, for anything that you need. And without further ado, let's get you out on the ice. Start playing. All right, for sheet A, team Techniali, whatever. versus Mamma Mia, and here we go again. Sheet B, Deep Tzatziki versus Sweeping Generalizations. Sheet C, Freak versus Team Kennedy. And Sheet D, Kicking Your Asterisk versus Team Assertion. Good curling, folks.
Ah,
Yeah.
I'm on. All right, so perhaps you did hear that overall announcement. These are the semifinals for the C and D event. As Jeannie did announce, it is Sunday morning, Sunday, the 24th of November. And this is day 3 of the Potomac Curling Club's annual Embassy Row Bonspiel with this year's focus on Greece. And if you haven't stopped by already, I suggest you do so. We have this draw and then another draw at 12 noon, which will be the finals in the A, B, C, and D event. And the food, I'm telling you, has been absolutely fantastic.
And if you are coming this way, we would suggest being very careful on the Beltway. I have seen last night was horrific with the pouring rain, and
Mm.
I'm starting to think some cars may still be in ditches from last night, but also saw some fresh accidents as I was driving around today in the slick conditions. So leave extra time. There's also an NFL game today. So if you
Yes.
please do come over and join us, but allow yourself some time. And
Mm-hmm.
please don't drive like a maniac. We'd like to see you get here in one piece.
Yeah, and we would be happy if you got back home that way too.
After you stay a while, of course.
Yeah, stay a while, enjoy.
Uh, quickly, well, we'll tell you, I'll just quickly give you the teams. I'll run down the teams when we have more people on. On sheet, the C event semifinals are on A and D. So on sheet A, it's Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, the two father-daughter pairs. Technialapias is their opponent, skipped by Terry Smith. Um, on sheet D, the other C event is Team Assertion, skipped by Joe Assertion, with Kicking Your Asterisk, and I did verify Andy Inglis is going to skip for them today. They've been sort of mixing things up today recently, but
Hmm.
that is their skip. Our feature game is apparently already getting underway. That is Deep Tzatziki, David Schlanger, F.L. Etwin, Brandon Neff, and Emily Aubin versus Sweeping Generalizations, skipped by Al McNeil with Dan Kennedy, Gordon Bodnar, and Mike Jones. On C, it is Greek Freak from Potomac and skipped by Mike Parker. And on their opponent, Team Kennedy, they are all Kennedys.
Yes, William, Ryan, Cedar, and Hudson Kennedy. And their proud mom and grandmother, Wendy, hi Wendy, are here cheering on the family.
All right, and we're going to try to get team colors for you. They tend not to tell us. I can tell you that the wizard of the webcast, Ken Clark, is delivering red on sheet D, which means that Team Assertion is red, and Kicking Your Asterisk is, of course, yellow.
Okay.
I'm actually not sure about our feature game.
Greek Freak is throwing red on sheet C. We've updated that.
Okay. Sheet A, let's see, that is Odessa, however, I believe, set to sweep for her father. Is that what we're doing now?
Yes,
Uh,
and he's
Bruce
going.
Black is ready to sweep for that. Okay, so that is red. It's funny, yesterday when I set up my spreadsheet, all of the top teams on my spreadsheet were red and all the bottom ones were yellow. So far, we are 3 for 3. Will it continue? I should be able to see who's who. On, It looks like FL is walking this one down, and that would be red.
Yep, deep Tzatziki is red. So I've swapped them all out. I think what you see on the scoreboard now is
And again, the top line of every matchup on my spreadsheet is red. The second line is yellow. I have no idea how that happened, but
wow.
that's really terrific. So, and we actually did that in relatively short order.
Record time.
Yeah, they were still throwing lead rots when we did that. And speaking of lead rots, the yellow team that we know is Sweeping Generalizations has just put one in the house. They are behind a red center guard. Yellow also has a corner guard. Yellow, that Sweeping Generalizations, has the hammer. In fact, the yellow team has the hammer on every sheet. They're really making things simple for us today. It'd be simpler if they would tell us which color is which before they get out on the ice, which we were talking about beforehand, but they don't do that. So I think Deep Tzatziki is mixing up their lineup a little bit. They have FL listed as the vice, but I think she just delivered a second rock and is curling around to just tap that yellow that is taking part of the button, and very well done. In fact, put just enough on it. Pretty impressive. Had to use enough, had to bring the weight down low enough to actually get some curl on it. Still had enough weight to complete the takeout, not just freeze to it. Of course, I don't know. Would you rather have frozen to it at this point?
Not sure. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
This is the reason why I am not a skip. I think we were discussing this last night. The wheels were turning, the smoke was coming out of our ears with the different options, and it's like, you know what? I'd rather not be the skip and have to think of all these different scenarios.
Yeah. I skip because I can't throw draws or guards. And my percentage on draws and guards is probably about 25%. My percentage on takeouts is probably about 30%. So therefore, it makes more sense for me to skip. Hi. You're not playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, yes.
Yes, I know you're Emily.
I was handed a note not long ago that says the role of Emily Aubin is being played by Michael Ray this morning.
Michael Ray, okay. Which reminds me, Kicking Your Asterisk has mixed up its lineup a good bit. I'm told that baby duties are part of the reason why, and we do have a baby wandering around and brightening up the place for us on this Sunday morning in Green Bay Packers regalia, which I'm told was the result of a lost bet.
Mm-hmm.
You would think wearing Washington NFL gear at this point would be the result of a lost bet, but that's me editorializing slightly. As we have the last of our Vice Rocks for Sweeping Generalizations. No, I'm sorry, the last of our second Rocks. It's too early for me to count. So this is Gordon Bodnar going into a house that has two red rots because we just had a flash on the shot before that. So Emily, what brings you to our webcast this morning? I should take off my headphones so I can hear you. The answer is nursing an injury. In the words of the immortal Vin Scully, when he was told that a player was day-to-day, he said, "Aren't we all?" Which reminds me that I need to do my Achilles and my ab stretches at some point today. I have just started, well, when I started skipping, I started skating myself down the ice a lot more on my left foot, and I now have a nice little ab strain on the left part of my body. So it only hurts when I move.
Like this?
Right. That's why. That's one reason I'm glad I'm here enough. I hope to be recovered in time to play the big spiel in January. So we are to Vice Routes now, and the first of the Vice Routes 4, I guess that's Brandon Neff. Wait a minute. Wait, Emily would know. Did Brandon and FL change places? Okay. So it's one of those slightly unusual lineups in the sense that Brandon Neff throws second, or throws third, but when it comes time to hold the broom for the skip, that will be FL. So Brandon Neff is indeed throwing third, which means that he threw a shot ago, and I didn't see it.
It's on its way.
No, this is the shot for. That was a shot for Dan Kennedy, was it not? That drew in through a nice port and sits very nicely on the forefoot.
You will excuse. I am developing a cold. We've had so much fun this weekend. Meeting all these people, enjoying the great competition.
And naturally, we had a game in the late night session last night go to an extra end. So none of us got on the road before 11 o'clock. And some of us live pretty far away.
Yeah.
And bonk goes the guard. I think I'm developing sort of a Jim Brockmeyer thing where I just sort of talk for a while and then occasionally cut back to the action. The opening scene of that series is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. It is definitely not safe for work, not safe for kids, but it really is wonderful how he weaves the narrative of how his marriage fell apart with the count of the game. My marriage is great, so I guess I'll get back to this and we will see the last of the Vicerots here for Dan Kennedy. Yellow in pretty good shape here with the hammer. I think he's trying to target the one red that's in the house. Well, there are two reds in the house, but the front one of those. And he is, and sets up yellow line 3. But the top one is not guarded.
Neither is the one in the 4-foot circle. It seems to be the one
Yeah,
on the far left.
The peeling the guard on the last shot was not a bad idea. So they have some shots here, and yellow decided not to guard that. They're just going to put 3 in there, or at least that's not what happened. On sheet C, Kennedy is about to deliver. Kennedy with the line call. Kennedy and Kennedy sweeping. So Dave Schlonger trots down the ice, doing the smart thing that that skips should do, and going on their grippers instead of sliding around and developing ab strains. So this is the first of the skip rots for deep Tzatziki. Judging by where the broom's being held, maybe a control weight takeout of the one on the 4-foot, or maybe probably not trying to blast both of them, judging by the turn. He's going to put a clockwise turn on this one. I use clockwise and counterclockwise rather than an in and out turn, because that way I don't have to adjust if there's a lefty.
True.
So, yeah, this looks like he's targeting the one on the 4-foot, or at least that's what it's going to hit.
Ooh.
And bonk, and yeah, managed to move the other one too. Maybe not as far as he would have liked, but not bad.
Not bad. Let's take a longer view. That's what Alan McNeil is doing. Again, doing that deep thought.
Alan McNeil, to our knowledge, not related to the Futurama character of the same last name. Actually, there were 2 of them. There was single female lawyer, her last name was McNeil, and also the president in that episode was named McNeil.
Oh.
Alan is not from a fictional universe. He is right here in front of me. Wearing all of his badges for his various officiating and organizing things. He is a certified level 1 and level 2, and he organized the Potomac Mixed, or the Grand National Mixed Championship last year that Hunter Clausen and company won, and went on to win the U.S. And here he is with his first delivery. He is a stick curler, as you can see. Calls the sweepers on it right away, as he's going to need to hold this line here and not wreck on his own guard. It's going to be tricky. A good sweep might do it past the guard, and
it glanced
rolls.
But that helped it.
Okay,
Well,
yellow is certainly lying 1, probably line 2, but the overhead can be deceiving. So an interesting choice now for Dave Schlanger. I think the conservative call here would be to just knock out the one that's on the top of the 12-foot and give up no worse than 2. Because if he were to draw around that, that'd be a nice little shot. But then if Al McNeil were to get that with his last rock, then that could be a 3. All of our games more or less proceeding at the same pace, except that on sheet C, Team Kennedy is about to throw its hammer. They appear to be drawing against 2.
As you can see a little bit on the side of this view, young Kennedy is crouched down. He's about to deliver his stone.
That is a 3-generation team.
Mhm.
David might have missed this one entirely, and he did. In fact, he's going to take out his own in the back,
Oh,
and now that was
could be
that
a
was a
3.
that was a worst case scenario, because now Al McNeil has pretty much the whole house to draw to get his 3.
Or 4, depending upon that one that could be
Oh
biting
yeah, if that
in the
one at the back is biting, that could be 4.
Yeah, again, you have to be standing over top of it to truly
Yeah,
get the full picture, whether it's biting or not.
right. Kind of academic at this point, because whether it's biting or not is certainly not going to affect Allen's shot. He's just going to put this one in the house, and then they'll make sure of that one afterwards. And on sheet C, apparently yellow did not have hammer, despite what the scoreboard says, because Greek Freak is delivering the hammer here. With a possible 3, I believe, if they can take out the rock that Cedar County just threw. On our featured game, Al McNeil's calling on the sweepers, because I'm not sure this has the weight to get there on its own. Okay, now it might tap their own, but it'll still be touching paint, so that should be fine. Yeah, in it goes. So that's at least 3. On sheet C, it looks like Greek Freak did indeed bump out the yellow. I'm not sure how many they got out of there, because I don't think they took that one out of the rings. So we're basically waiting for people to post scores on actually 3 of our sheets. On sheet A, we still have the hammer to come from Terry Smith. They were good. Yellow does have the hammer. That is Technialapius, which for some reason I think I'm pronouncing correctly this morning, even though I couldn't do it all day yesterday. They have got the biter barb out on B to see if that's 4. We shall see. On sheet A, Terry Smith is going possibly for a blank, and whiffed. So that's probably a steal 1, but we'll let you know. They are posting our score, and it is 4. 4 on sheet B. That shot was biting. I would not have guessed that it was, but it in fact was.
That's why they measured it. You never want to be sure.
Okay. And Janine again risking her life to give us the spin. Oh, I say that just as someone slips while sweeping. Just a minor one, just slipped on her leg, and that was okay.
Yeah. All right, they're up. It's good.
And no one else has posted the scores.
Oh, but that is just like, that was a floater. It just kind of like floated on in.
Every now and then it does just sort of seem like
Float
these
like
rods are little balloons.
Float like a butterfly and sting like a bee.
So we may start nagging people to post their scores in a little bit. I forgot my post your score sign, which is sometimes helpful. Oh, on sheet D, they have Sheet D, they actually managed to switch the hammer sign, which was nice of them. Sheet C, they've not done that yet. So Sheet D, or maybe they switched, maybe they decide they're going to switch at every end. Who knows? Either way, kicking your asterisk has put up 1. And on Sheet C, Greek Freak has put up 1.
Oh, hold on a second. Kick your asterisk has 1?
Kicking your asterisk has 1. Yes, they did.
Okay.
They scored 1. That was either a steal or not.
Or not. Okay.
Right. Either or.
Okay, we're still waiting for the folks over on A to post their score.
And on our feature sheet, the red team, Tzatziki, opted to throw up a corner guard rather than go for the yellow that is in the house. There's now going to be a second one in the yellow unless Dave Schlanger really manages to sweep, and actually got it pretty far.
Well, it's still
Up,
biting.
Sheet A has posted. Sheet A, that was 1 for Mamma Mia. Here we go again, and it was pretty much as I suspected. They had 1 all the way in the back of the house, and Terry Smith was unable to make contact with that on his last shot.
Yes, line. Hard. Hard.
I think after the second end, I will read through all of the lineups here. This is an all Potomac session, except that one of the Kennedys is from Lindsay. We did have people in this tournament from Diamond State and Pittsburgh and Chesapeake and Lone Star and Triangle. We always have to have a Triangle group here. In fact, there will be a partially Triangle group in our final session. And Wine Country with the awesome name Team Mediocrities, fitting in very well with the theme of Greece here. So again, this is an all Potomac session, but our noon session will not be all Potomac. There will be one game between teams from outside the club, and we hope that if you are from Plainfield or Triangle or Philadelphia or Butts County that you will be joining us for that one, and welcome. As we see, and bonk. Bonk goes the 5th rock, which is unfortunate because we were playing, of course, with the 5 rock rule, and so Paul Schlanger will simply be putting it back where it was. Did I say Paul Schlanger? I meant Dave Schlanger. I'm not sure what I said.
That's okay. Could be his brother.
His evil twin.
Dun, dun, dun.
Because we know Dave is not evil.
No.
So.
No, he's rather funny at times.
Yeah, he is.
I'll say, I hear Oliver making happy baby noises.
Yes, line. Yes, line. Yes, line. Same thing. We'd like to be here.
Speaking of babies, we do have a lot of juniors playing out here today, including half of Team Kennedy and half of Mamma Mia. And if you missed Diana Black singing along and dancing to her the namesake song of her team last night, you really missed out. That was really something to see.
And she wasn't singing alone.
She was not singing alone, no. There were plenty of people who are also, it's nice to see the younger generation appreciating ABBA.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it beats listening to Post Malone.
Who's that?
I'm told he's popular.
Oh, okay.
I stumbled into one song of his and thought, wow, this is utter garbage.
Only to be told.
Yeah, and then only to be told that he was something like the 4th best-selling act of 2018 or something like that.
Oh, goodness. And I thought 80s music was pretty edgy.
It's funny how 80s music in retrospect, I remember at the time thinking, well, who's going to listen to 80s music down the road? Now I get in Sirius XM and I put on the 80s channels. So, of course, there were some things, at the time I didn't really appreciate Prince, and now I look back and Prince, I think, is a genius. Dave Schlanger manages to sweep that one out. So we have a battle of biters at this point. The yellow at the back must be biting, or else they would have kicked it out of play. The red in the front might be biting.
I don't know. All right. Back line. Back line.
I love indecisive commentary. Bumpers too much, right? I don't know. You know, curling is a very honest sport. That's one of the great things about it. People are
Yeah.
so. FL, I believe, has thrown. This looks more like back 12 than bumper. Of course, I'm not sure which sheet that came from.
Yep. Whoa.
They're just going to get this in the. They have backing to get this in the house, and they, wow, just past the guard and just past the one in the back. So
Oh,
a
goodness.
good news, bad news curl there from FL.
This is not it. It's tall. So let's draw behind it.
We have Alan McNeil confirms that the one up top is not in.
Or he's getting rid of it smarter. Getting rid of it smarter. When we hit this, see if it's all here. Too light.
All right. Al McNeil says to his vice, Dan Kennedy.
Let's get
Is
rid of-
Dan related to the Kennedys on the net sheet?
You know, I thought about that yesterday. I didn't think to ask. See if we can find out.
Okay.
Let it come. Yep.
After this end, I will give you the complete rundown of who is playing where.
Yeah, hard. Contact. Should be rolled towards Gordon. Up. Might not get on.
Alan was hoping for the shooter there to roll into the rings, but that would have been necessitated thinner contact than that. Still got the main part of what he wanted there was to make it a yellow guard instead of a red guard, so promotion opportunity if needed down the road. Brandon Neff now up throwing the first of the skip rots for Team Tzatziki, which is trailing 4-0 after a very well played end from the sweeping generalizations of Alan McNeil. Here, Schlonger, I think, wants to draw this. It needs to get past that guard, and it does.
But
Is this going to be another one of those that gets out? No, that's going to be a tall order for Alan to sweep that all the way out of the house, and it does not.
stays in the back 12.
That's right. Back 12, and
Heavy draw. It's like a half weight. We're good tap to it. Yes.
so Alan wants to come down to this, a hack weight draw, which is something you don't see very often. At least I don't see it very often. Maybe other people do.
Wait for the movement. Give it a second.
I kind of like this one as it's coming down toward me.
Okay, now good. Now good.
Alan calls the sweepers on now. And yeah, that did what it needed to do. Actually rolls not quite behind guard, but to a spot where it'll be difficult to get to because there are, if you could draw a straight line from the hack, maybe you could get part of it, but So they're not doing that. I think David Schlonger is going to ask Brandon Neff to put this almost in the same spot, but maybe a little bit shorter. Our sweepers were just escorting it, in Janine's word. I think works very well. I think this looks like a pretty good shot. Actually, I'm not sure why they're sweeping as hard as they are. Now Alan McNeil joins them to sweep it on out. That was, they swept it way harder than they were expecting there. And it has just gone through the house. It was shaping up fairly nicely to stop in the 8-foot. Then the sweepers
Overswam.
somehow found some Sunday morning adrenaline, and off it went. So Alan McNeil now already up 4-0, about to throw the first of his skip rocks. Oh, good morning, Mindy. Nice to see you today.
Absolutely.
Mindy, probably wondering why I haven't tweeted much recently. Well, it's because I've been here. And I have nothing else to say besides what I'm saying on the commentary. I'm escaping from the rest of the world by being here in the Potomac Curling Club, which is a great place to be. I think
And I heartily agree.
that's right.
Especially if they're serving Greek food.
Yes, that
I-
dinner last night was fantastic.
Oh my.
That really was. I have been to Mediterranean restaurants and had far inferior food than that for much higher prices. That was outstanding. We have an escort here for Al McNeil's shot.
Have to come up with a different
Yeah.
word now. Ooh, goodness.
That
Look that
looks
scoreboard.
that looks pretty good. That's going to go right
Nice.
onto the 4-foot. It is a little bit exposed, so Alan might
Oh,
have wanted to
goodness.
move that over about another half rock or even a full rock.
I was going to say, because there's a nice possibility for a double here.
There is, and of course, if Dave Schlonger were Canadian, he'd probably be looking for a triple. Or European. I saw a couple of triples during the European
Wow.
Championships this past week. That was fascinating. Some really well played games. I raved yesterday about the final shot that I urge everyone to check out of Anna Hasselborg, the gold medal winning shot. And everything was riding on it, so just high pressure.
And she came through.
Yeah, I really can't imagine throwing her that sort of pressure. You think back to John Schuster's shot to score 5 against Nicholas Sedin, and that's a shot that he probably makes 80, maybe even 90% of the time if he's just out playing in his club. But to do it knowing that if you make it, you're going to win a gold medal, barring disaster, that's really something. Dave Schlonger throwing significant weight at this one. It is going to need to curl a little bit. The sweepers are on it. It's curling just a little bit. It was because it was not thrown with absurd weight. I cannot see what's going on except unless I look at the overhead. And that was a single because it took out the other one, but jammed and leaves his rock in the 4-foot, but certainly exposed. The obvious shot here is going to be for Allen to take this out. I think he'd obviously prefer to take this out without jamming. If he runs this into the yellow that's on the 8-foot, then red will still have shot with the hammer and a fairly open draw. The second end has just ended on sheet C. But I was.
We will post when they post the update. In fact,
That's
let me
right.
put the scoreboard back up on your screen for you.
Boy, well, I can tell you that the yellow team scored because, well, no, the red team, Greek Freaks, scored.
Oh,
Now they
goodness.
scored 1 because the Kennedys are back in hack. Wait a minute. Who's that throwing lead for the Kennedys?
Sorry.
I think Allen's might wreck on the guard. No, just passed, and it does not jam. A perfect shot there from Allen McNeil. The sweepers take a deep breath after that one. All right, so the question for Dave Schlonger here is if he hits that yellow that Allen McNeil has just thrown and sticks right there, will he have shot? And I don't know that he will. Because if he hits that, a good chunk of it's going to be in the 12-foot, and the yellow one in the back is just touching the 12-foot. So he might just want to draw here. In fact, that looks like the call. It's like you never left, said Mindy. Yeah, Mindy, I actually should have probably just brought a sleeping bag and stayed because I drove back under horrific conditions. Just a downpour on the Beltway. Could not even see the lanes.
Yes.
That is frightening. And there I did see a car that was pointed in the wrong direction off to the side of the road, which is never a good sign.
Well, I went down the other side of the Beltway, and same thing, could not see the lanes. I was behind a car at the split, and then
It's
we thought
terrifying.
we were in the second lane, and then at the same time, we both realized, no, we weren't.
This is just going to curl a little bit too much for Dave Schlanger, and he's going to
Ooh,
give up a steal of one and fall behind 5-0.
Oh, my.
All right. All right, so now that we're in between ends on our feature game, we run down our lineups for you. And you should know that these are semifinals in the C and the D events. The C event has teams that, well, every team out here has one loss. The D event teams won both of their first games and advanced. In fact, Deep Tzatziki actually has 3 wins. And so they advanced deep into the A event before dropping to the D. So on sheet A, in the C event, we have Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, All Potomac. It's the father-daughter duos, skipped by Diana Black. Her father, Bruce Black, is the second. The Vice is Odessa Herrera with her dad, Mark Herrera, throwing lead. They are playing Tetney Alapias, skipped by Terry Smith. Nick Henley is the Vice, Pam Smith is second, Scott Hookton is the lead. In our feature game, which is a D event, these are teams that just missed out on the A event final. We have Deep Tzatziki with, again, David Schlanger. Brandon Neff is throwing third rots, but FL Etlin is throwing second and is more or less the Vice. Michael Ray is the lead. They are playing Sweeping Generalizations. The skip is Alan McNeil. Then you have Dan Kennedy, Gordon Bodnar, and Mike Jones. Sheet C, you have Greek Freak with Mike Parker, Andrea Dubin, Bill Engman, and Sylvia Velecker. Then they are playing Team Kennedy, the 3 generations of Kennedys, skipped by Cedar Kennedy. We saw him at the saw a couple of Kennedys at the Glitter Bonspiel. Good young players here, Cedar and Hudson. Cedar Kennedy's the skip, William Kennedy is the Vice, Hudson Kennedy is the second, and Ryan Kennedy is the lead. I'm trying to figure out which generation is which there. No, Cedar's one of the young ones, Hudson is one of the young ones.
I believe Ryan is dad and William is grandpa.
Okay.
I can verify that with Grandma Wendy over here.
Okay. On sheet D, Team Assertion, skipped by Joe Assertion. The Vice is Ricky Osteen. The second is James Ricci. And the lead, the man who has been setting up our webcast equipment and doing a fine job, is Ken Clark. They are playing Kicking Your Asterisk, which has been shaking up its lineup a little bit, but I confirmed with them before the game. Their skip today is Andy Inglis. Their Vice is Judy Rakusin. Second is Craig Marquardt, and the lead is Paul Luthi. And I can tell you on sheet D, Kicking Your Asterisk did post a score of 2 in the second end. They have not posted the score on sheet A. Again, they are being delinquent in posting those scores. In fact, given the presence of younger people there, we can say they are juvenile delinquents.
Oh, no.
So,
okay. And indeed, I will say we have the Kennedys correct.
all right.
William is the grandfather, Ryan is the dad, and Cedar and Hudson are the young ones. And I just spoke with some family members who said, oh, no, people get that wrong all the time. I'm like, well, we got it right.
That's right.
So, point for us. In my family, if you get a good one, we actually lick our finger and make like a tick mark in the sky.
On our featured game, Sweeping Generalizations has been throwing a lot of good ones, and this one going into the house looks like it's going to bump their own a little bit farther. Dave Schlanger is going to sweep that out, though, so essentially that is a replacement stone. I actually watched the documentary on 30 for 30 on replacement players, and the Washington team where the replacements beat a Dallas team that had had a fair number of their regular players who had crossed the picket line, and the replacements from Washington won, and they just recently got Super Bowl rings because they contributed 3 wins that helped Washington make it to the playoffs. They went on to win the Super Bowl. Really a fantastic story. Of course, they received all sorts of abuse for crossing the picket line, but have eventually been accepted for the fact that they got Washington to the Super Bowl. This shot is barely going to get to the hog line. It will get there, though, and that looks like if they were looking for a corner guard, they got it, and I believe that is two corner guards. Two corner guards for Red, trying to generate some offense, down 5-1.
Okay, we have an update on sheet D. Team Assertion has scored 2 in the second end. So over on sheet D, it's Team Assertion 2, kicking your asterisk 1. We are still waiting for the delinquent sheet A to update us from their second end.
I forgot to bring paper to write down a post your score.
No, that's right. You said you left your sign at home, but you were going to do a makeshift one.
Let's see what I have on hand. I have my backpack here because I was actually working yesterday when I came in here. So I sat down and plopped down and helped Ken a little bit with commentary, but was also finishing up my day job, which is sometimes a night job.
All right, and that stone is taken out of play. Okay, so sheet D is updated. Sheet C is up to date.
Sheet B is up to date. It's
okay, and that stone is delivered by FL. That's what she goes by.
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a sign out of my laptop. So.
Okay, and this one looks like it's floating nicely. Let me move the scoreboard to see. It will stop at the back 12, and that's a nice firm bite. Oh, goodness.
Sit on the back one.
Oops, now we can see Dan's face. If I put up the scoreboard, you can't see his face anymore.
That's the easy draw, and then you got back.
He got home at midnight and then went back to work at 6:15 in the kitchen. Yeah, that's exactly how it for me as well. Actually, I did it a little different. I got home. It was definitely a little bit after midnight, and I left the house about 7 a.m. this morning.
Just enough there.
Yeah, and that went through the house. Okay, back to the hack. I'll move the scoreboard so we can look who it is.
Oh, they posted right when I finished my sign. That was a steal of 2 on sheet A.
Oh, it was.
Yes, it was. So Mamma Mia, here we go again, has stolen 2.
All right, so they're up 3-0.
That's correct.
All righty. Keeping you up to date as soon as we can. Okay, let's get the overhead view. FL doing a little sweeping at the end there, nicely in the 4 and 8 foot, right on the tee line. On the right-hand side, let's get you the further out view. It's not exactly undercover, but and that guard is pretty far out, so it is vulnerable. Oh, there we go again. Dan's face. There you go. So his family can see him.
Sweeping Generalizations, incidentally, should be well rested because they conceded after 4 ends in their last game yesterday to Hip Hop Acropolis, a very good team that's in the A final. Team of mostly youngsters from Potomac.
And that crashed, as you like to say, Bo, on the guard. So that took out the red guard on the right-hand side, and the shooter turned into a left side guard for the yellow team.
I don't know that I necessarily like to say it because, but yeah, it is a good way of saying it.
Okay. If you're going to take my escorting the stone, I'm going to take your. Always a lot of fun here over at the Potomac Curling Club. And again,
Yeah. Well,
please feel free to stop by. And also, you can also visit our website any time of day or night. It's easy to remember, curldc.org. That's curldc.org. You'll find we have tons of programs, a whole bunch of different leagues. We have Learn to Curls, the Saturday morning breakfast extravaganzas, which the first hour of which is, teaching you the basics of curling.
that's right. In fact, if you come through Saturdays Learn to Curl, you may learn from me, but more important, I think you'll actually learn from Howard.
Oh my goodness, Mr. Howard Griffin.
Yes.
Oh, what a gentleman. He is quite the player and an even better human being.
It's fun to see him smiling yesterday during a close game, even though they lost. I think even immediately after throwing the shot that was unable to
Secure the win.
secure the win. He was bouncing with the baby.
Yeah.
I think we're all trying to get our baby time today.
Mm-hmm.
Because my kids are 16 and 13, so it's a little different. In my case, it's more, have you done your homework? Have you turned in your homework? That sort of thing.
Well, to contrast Bo, mine are 20 and 22. So one of them is, have you turned in your 3 essay assignments to your professor? And the other is, are you getting enough sleep before going off to work?
On our feature sheet, Alan McNeil has just thrown the first of the skip rods, took out the topmost of the red rods.
And the shooter goes out of play. So now we're looking at like 2 red, depending upon that one in the back.
We might be bringing out the Bayer bar yet again. On sheet A, or sheet C, it looks like a mixed doubles game because there are tons of rods sitting right around.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
Traffic jam. It looks like the Beltway last night. From
It's
here.
except on the Beltway, cars were going anywhere between 45 and 70 miles an hour. I think I came across some cars going 40 because they were simply terrified of the weather.
And couldn't see the lanes.
Couldn't see the lanes.
There weren't enough of
Right.
those reflectors.
Right. And there were some cars that figured, you know what, I'm just going to go 70.
Well.
As people tend to do on the Beltway. In fact, this morning I had a motorcyclist who seemed determined to smack into the side of my car, but managed to somehow make it in front of me.
Oh, goodness.
So, sheet A, we're to the first of skip rods. Diana Black has just thrown that one and has taken out 2. Oh, double takeout for Diana Black.
Nicely done.
Took out one that was biting the forefoot and took out the one in the back of the 12. First of the skip rods for Dave Schlanger. Looks like he's trying to split the house here. Which is not a bad call.
And the stone is curling a little bit to the left. Here we go.
Yeah. It's easily past the guard. They're trying to sweep it to get it fully buried. And naturally, fully buried. And wow, even the tee line is bisecting both of those red rods. That is geometrically wonderful.
Yes.
So.
And we do appreciate geometry.
Yes, because my son is taking it now. Meanwhile, we just had, they just threw the hammer on sheet C, I believe, and it's definitely 1 red. I can't tell if it, 2 red. So that would be 2 more for Greek Freak.
Yes, indeed it is. So on sheet C, Greek Freak has 4. Team Kennedy has 0 after their 3rd end.
That is one of our D event finals. After this end, I will tell you how each team got here to the D event finals, or D event semifinals, I should say. As we see a double takeout on sheet A, one of those might have been their own.
Oops.
But that's okay. Terry Smith is still lying 1 with hammer.
No, I may have underdone that.
Diana Black is lining up for the second of her shots, and the second of his shots for Al McNeil right now, targeting the shot rock, the first shot rock of red, and making just enough contact to get it out of there. Might have liked to have gotten the one at the back that might be biting. So this is going to be a draw for 2 or 3 for Dave Schlanger and Deep Tzatziki to get them back into the game. Dave wearing the colorful, it looks like it's sort of a mix of waves and flowers and sunbeams, all in different shades of blue.
Oh, a nice, it looks like a 60s paisley print kind of thing.
Ah, yes it does.
But with flowers thrown in for kind of a Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds deal.
On sheet A, Diana Blatt's last shot took out, she barely kept her shooter in the reins. The sweepers are on this for Dave Schlanger, but now they're off of it. It looks pretty securely into the house. And he had the whole house to draw to. And so that is, well, they're kicking away the one that's in the back. No biter bar on that one. I'm thinking it was probably not in play.
All right, we're going to assume that it was not, because we can always increase the score.
That's right.
It just feels bad when we have to decrease.
Update on sheet D. Team Assertion has stolen 1. They have a 3-1 lead. So all our games now in the 4th end, except on sheet A, where Terry Smith is now throwing his hammer, drawing against 2. The 2 are more or less scattered. So if he can get this one to stop in full 8, he will get 1. The sweepers are escorting, I believe, with some concern as it goes out the back. That will be a steal of 2 for Diana Blatt's Mamma Mia, here we go again.
Oh, my.
So that's going to be 5-0.
Guard's not awful either.
Scoreboard.
All right, so let me tell you how the D event teams got here. Deep Tzatziki made a deep run, beating Team Furon, which is a very good team that will be playing in the B event final at noon. They beat Techni Alapias, which is playing that similar sheet, and they beat Team Kennedy, which is so 2 of the teams they beat are surrounding them. Then they lost to the excellent Fellowship of the Ranked team. That is the dual couple rank of Michael Dodds and Christina Lessie and JR and Heidi Gross. Sweeping Generalizations had fewer games to play to get here. They beat T-Lines and Rink Ladies. They beat Mamma Mia, so all these teams are comfortable with each other on the sheet. They lost to Hip Hop Acropolis. Again, that was one they conceded after 4 ends. It was, I think, 9-2 at the time.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, so then our other D event teams, and I think I have this. Oh no, I don't have this wrong. It was an interesting. The draw is a little bit confusing when you have 24 teams. Greek Freak started out with a win over Hero Draw, the team of Courtney Shaw, and beat OK Broomer. So beat 2 very good Potomac players there, in Courtney Shaw and Rob Myers. Lost to Fellowship of the Rink. Team Kennedy beat In Queso Emergency. Beat Achilles Peel, Howard Griffin's team, and lost to Deep Tzatziki. So even though they could have a rematch in the D event final there. And so that's how the teams in our D event got there. Again, they both made fairly deep runs in the A bracket, A event, before getting here. I'll run through some of the other ones too, because there are 2 teams in the C event final that have gone 3-1. They each lost their second game and came back to win 2 to reach this stage. That is the last of our lead rocks on sheet B, our feature sheet. None of them are in the house. We are setting up a traffic jam of guards. Oh, and we can confirm if we haven't already, that was the back one was not biting on sheet B. So it is 5-2, which I believe you already have.
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed.
All right.
We took it on faith.
Janine, as always, on top of the scores.
Except when I can't see them. Can't see the scores for the people or the forest for the trees. Sometimes it does hurt being short.
Being tall is nice, except when you're flying in coach.
Oh, ooh.
And it's very difficult for me to get my legs anywhere. On sheet A, Diana Black watches one of her team shots. I'm kind of surprised Terry Smith didn't try to sweep that out the back. Sheet B, we're getting one into the house from FL.
Nicely
or
floating.
are we? Well,
Ooh.
yes, it rubs the guard, but gets in there completely exposed, of course.
I like hitting this and rolling the button.
Al McNeil calls for a hit and roll to the button. I have never been able to do a hit and roll. I've done the occasional double takeout, and a couple weeks ago hit a takeout that I still can't believe I hit, because I actually had to send the opposing rock through a port. I had to hit it kind of at a 45-degree angle to scoot it through there, and it did, and left my shooter and scored a bundle. This case, they got the roll to the wrong side, which is out. So we're back kind of where we were with 4 guards and none in the house.
It's an open house day.
It is. In fact, sheet A is completely open because we just had a takeout of the one in the back. Right, so sheet B, we're going to have FL again. I think the call is going to be to draw around all 4 of those guards. That is a shot that's there. That the yelling is on sheet D, and they're making Ken Clark sweep for his life.
Okay.
And it worked. That was a beautiful hit and roll on sheet D for someone from Team Assertion.
It took the. Go ahead, Bo. Sorry.
It was either James Ricci or Ricky Osteen. Actually, from this part in the end, I think that was Ricky Osteen with the. No, I think that was James Ricci with the 4th rod delivered here. On our feature sheet, they are all sweeping to get FL shot behind guard, and it is 60, 80% behind guard now. So pretty good shot from FL there. Sheet C is scooting along at a nice pace. These youngsters do not waste any time between ends. It's interesting with young curlers. I did see one of the Bondsfields last year. There was a bizarre call by one of the. They were sticking to a rule of maybe, oh, you guys split the house, as we have a beautiful double takeout there.
Very, very nicely done.
Yeah, got rid of the guard and the shot that I would have thought FL's shot was pretty safe after that, but no, they just took both of them out of there. That was. That was a shot by the Vice of no, wait, it was their second. Yeah, it was their second, Gordon Bodnar, with the very nice double. He didn't quite convert the hit and roll on this previous shot, but made up for it very nicely with the double takeout. Neither of those an easy shot, and the second one done to perfection. This draw is going to come up kind of short. Dave Schlanger is out here trying to get it out there. It is not going to get behind cover. So to finish up on that thought, we were watching on sheet C. It was the last game of that session. There were people lined up to take the ice for the session after that. They were up, I believe, 3, and they made the only call that gave the other team a mathematical chance. They had to basically make the wrong call and mess it up slightly, and that is exactly what they did. The reasoning they gave me for it was they adhered to some sort of rule. You know, so like, oh well, we want to do such and such, and they really didn't take into account that they were up 3. So it may have been the right play if it were tied or if they were up 1, but simply forgot that they were giving the team the other chance there. That was an interesting shot from Dan Kennedy, nearly knocking 2 into the house, but 1 went out and 1 stuck up as a guard. So now we have gone from 4 to 5 guards.
How many?
Yeah, the call from Deschlanger
Yep.
is to put this one, put Brandon Neff's shot around all of them. Again, trying to get one buried and make it very difficult for Al McNeil to score. This one has a bit more weight than the last one, so I do not believe we will see Mr. Schlanger out sweeping. I don't think it's going to have the curl, though, and, well, here we go. It is curled late, and it is...
In the house,
And the
four.
rare 2-skip sweeping, as Dave Schlanger wanted to get it buried and Alan McNeil wanted to get it deep. So it's buried, but if Dan Kennedy can follow that same line, he will freeze right to it.
Let's see what they come up with.
You can hear Alan discussing it across the ice.
Unless you want to kind of blast this, but you get rid of this, you probably move this over.
Again, for those not familiar with kerning, that's how it's done here. There's no huddles or, unless you guys want to huddle up and decide what do we do here. But it's all out in the open.
Unless you play in the hangover spiel, in which case the first end is a silent end, the theme being that you're going to want everything to be quiet on New Year's Day. And my main memory of that, I was playing on Michael Dobbs' team. Michael Dobbs, the skip of Fellowship of the Rink, which will be playing in our final today. And I remember sweeping, and then you couldn't talk, but you could use gestures. I remember sweeping and then looking up and seeing Michael furiously waving his hands to stop us from sweeping. This one will require no sweeping. It is trying to take the same draw path. I don't think it's going to get there. This might flash through. Dave Schlanger is going to sweep. Yeah, that's a flash. All right, so Dave Schlanger's team in business here to set up a steal, or at least make it very difficult for Alan McNeil to score. Alan was already looking at promotion possibilities, but with the way those rods are set up, it's not going to be easy to do that. He can either knock one through a very narrow port, which would be difficult because it is partially guarded, or he can come all the way out. You have to hit it perfectly. That may actually be the best shot if Dave Schlanger, with his first, can bring it in and do. We were talking about what you call a shot that's half shot, half draw, half guard, whether it's a Gerard or a
Shard or a got?
a shard or a got.
We like shard.
Yes.
I like shard.
Sheet C, we just had a flash, and I believe that is a blank. As they said on Family Guy when they did the parody of Match Game, they said Freddie Forgetful is so forgetful that when he tried to remember something, he drew a blank. And I remember when I said that before, I got all of the people of my age laughed hysterically. All the people who were under 40.
We're like, what?
Yeah, even though they did revive Match Game a bit with Alec Baldwin as the host, but this was actually the old school. Gene Rayburn is the host, and
with the long skinny mic.
the long skinny Mike, and Richard Dawson, front row center, Charles Nelson Riley, and Brett Summers.
Yeah, what did Brett Summers do? Was
She
she in
did-
like one movie? I'm sorry, I just don't recall. But she was always there.
She did a one-woman show on Broadway that I understand was fairly popular.
Oh.
Charles Nelson Riley was in a few films and directed a few films. Richard Dawson, of course, Hogan's Heroes, and then the longtime host of Family Feud. And as much fun as the Steve Harvey one is, there was something very special about the Richard Dawson version.
Yeah.
And there are all sorts of great YouTube videos of game show bloopers from the old days of Family Feud and from Newlywed Game, where things get really kind of raunchy.
Yeah.
On sheet D, we are nearing the end of the fourth end. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. In fact, it looks like, no, we're not quite delivering the hammer. I think we're delivering the last of the skip rods for each end. Alan McNeil is still discussing this one.
Mm-hmm.
Dave Schlager did a nice job of putting up his shard. Wait,
Got.
Got?
Got.
Shot? Yeah. Putting in a rock that actually might be shot or might be second shot. Either way, it's done a nice job. It has completely stopped that draw path that Alan McNeil has. Now, Alan has 2 shots here, so he could come down and just try to knock out some of what's in the house, but he is really taking a look at this promotion. If he were able to knock this one into the 4-foot, that would be quite impressive. Boy, Alan taking a very long time to line up this shot.
Okay, they're going to come in from the right.
Yes.
I mean, I thought perhaps another option would be to come in from the left. You hit the first red just right, hit it into the second. At least this one in the back goes out, and then hopefully your shooter stays pretty close to the 4-foot.
Right. You probably wouldn't get shot out of that, but again, you still have hammer to come.
Cut your losses to just 1.
Yeah, or being forced to 1, which at this stage of the game, up 5-2, would certainly being forced to 1 would not be a bad outcome here. Boy, sheet C is now nearly halfway through their 5th end, while everyone else is still in the 4th. Although I believe we're going to see the hammer now on sheet D, and they're taking a long look at this one.
And I'm going to interrupt you to say on sheet C, the last end was not a blank. Team Kennedy scored 1.
Ah.
So they got a force.
I don't know where it was. Alan McNeil's shot is not going to be a promotion. It's going to be a draw, and we're going to have one of those I sweep, now you sweep, now you sweep, and he has a very nice draw. Got shot out of it.
And it seems to be undercover.
It is undercover. That's a shot we hadn't been looking at because it didn't look like Alan was looking at it. But that is a very nice call and a very nice shot. All right, so on sheet D, we do indeed have the hammer, and to try to put the situation up here for you, that is where kicking your asterisk is down 2. They have hammer. There's a red and a yellow in the 4-foot, nearly touching the button. I cannot tell which is shot. Everything else in the house is red.
Yeah.
Looks like he might be trying to do an in-off of one of these reds to get into the 4-foot. There's a danger he could knock his own out of there and give up a huge end. But no, this looks like a more harmless draw. If they can get it to the 4-foot, that would be great. They're not going to get it there. It is curling. It's actually going to wreck on the guard. And so now we'll see whether it was red or yellow closest on there. They know, we don't. We will let you know when we know. So that means, well, no, we still have 2 games. On sheet A, we're about to see the hammer. It is going to be Techni Alapias, Terry Smith, drawing against 2 to try to finally put a point up on the board. Our feature sheet, we have, I don't know if this is a little bit of a promotion attempt, trying to bump their red just a little bit in there. They don't get it. So Alan McNeil has shot. Getting a second one's going to be difficult. I think now he really is going to try that promotion because the now the draw path is pretty much gone because his own rock, which he threw very nicely, is in there. So I don't think he'd be able to get another draw in there. He can. It's possible, but if he gets it in there, he might just bump his yellow a little bit, and then it would not be second. We'll see what the call is here. This is going to be interesting. On sheet A, Terry Smith's draw is going to bump the red one farther in, and that is going to be another steal for red. Probably, I think it's going to be one. Might be two. They're taking a long look to see what's second shot. Sheet D is through 4, so that was 1 for red. That was 1 for red. That was a steal of 1. The red was just a little bit closer to the button. Again, red and yellow are both in the forefoot. Red was closer, so that is another one for team assertion. Al McNeil shot on the way. It's draw weight, but a takeout, but a promotion line, which is probably not good news for yellow. They are sweeping furiously. I love the contrast in sweeping styles. You have the one person with the going back and forth over 1 inch, and the one wide sweeper. That's got to be one yellow. On sheet A, that was a steal of 1. It is now 6-0.
Updating. Oh. Already up here.
Jenny, I am tall enough to reach that. You do not need to stand on a chair. And,
but that's how I get my exercise.
Oh, Brett Summers was also married to Jack Klugman, Mindy points out. I had forgotten that. I had heard that at one point, and I had completely forgotten. So thank you for that bit of trivia.
And we remember Jack Klugman very well.
So we're now in the 5th end of every game, which means I'm going to make a quick trip to the bar and be right back.
Okay. So now it's just... Sorry, need a little more caffeine this morning. Okay, so now it's just us. Ooh. Yeah, Brett Summers, Gene Rayburn was the best. It was with that skinny Mike. Other people, guests on that show were Fannie Flagg, in case anyone remembered. Yeah, Fannie Flagg. Charles Nelson Riley.
Didn't Fannie Flagg write Fried Green Tomatoes?
I'm not sure.
All right, well,
Mindy,
we'll
can you look that up?
We'll count on Mindy to say that. I believe she wrote Fried Green Tomatoes, or the story upon which the movie was based.
Huh.
I do know that she had some writing career outside of. She was not just on Match Game, and she did act in a few things. I know she had some acting credits, but also a very talented writer.
Yeah, I believe Betty White was on once in a while. And Gary Berghoff.
Gary Berghoff.
Spent some time on Match Game.
Played Radar, of course.
Oh, very. He was that part.
He was, and he was, I believe, the only actor who carried over from the film to the TV series, which is impressive considering the film I thought was awful. I mean, it is unbelievably sexist. I mean, granted, we view everything in retrospect.
Yeah, at that time it wasn't.
At that time, it was considered normal, but it was horribly sexist and I suppose a little bit revolutionary, just in the sense that it did.
It was
show
kind of
some
like
of the horrors of war. Yeah.
I think it was kind of like a. Was that a Robert Altman film?
I believe so.
Okay.
But it's one of those cases where the TV series was much better than the movie, which you often don't see. And they tried to make a movie out of tried to make a TV series out of Animal House, and that went nowhere.
Yeah, I remember that.
I can't really think of many other TV series that have been adapted well out of.
Ooh,
that's a hog.
That's a hog, as in it did not pass fully over the hog line, the far hog line. So
that was the last of our lead rods, I believe. That was the last of our lead rods. Well, I won't say who it's from because that's it. I knew a lot of high school football writers who would always name whoever made a great play. Would not put the name in of someone who fumbled. It would be capitalized on an Apex High School fumble. It would not be the young man who actually did drop the ball.
Yeah. Oh, that's okay.
This is going to be a promotion, whether they whether they called it that way or not. It's hard to tell which one will be raised. Looks like I'm going to go with the one on the left. And that is indeed raised into the house. It is not covered.
I actually thought it was going to then bump the second one, so that was a pretty precise surgical strike.
There was a chance if it had curled just a little bit more that it would have sent the first into the second.
Mm-hmm. Zero there, 4-1 on D.
Keeping a look on sheet C, which is our other D event semifinal, where Greek Freak trying a takeout, and yeah, they just got it. Or not quite taken out, but at least kind of frozen in there. We are down to, I believe, down to the last of the skip rots there.
That was a nice takeout of the yellow that was just promoted into the house on the previous throw. So
we did tell you it was not under cover.
Yeah,
So.
and neither is the redstone sitting in its place.
So on sheet C, difficult shot here for Cedar Kennedy. There's the red rock that was just thrown by Mike Parker is more or less frozen in the 4-foot. And Mike has hammer.
Okay.
So Cedar's going to have to try to dislodge this one. Cedar with the left-handed delivery. Throwing a considerable amount of weight at this.
All right, and on our sheet B, we saw the takeout, and then the shooter started moving to the right, which was good. Hopefully would end up undercover, but it didn't. It kept going. It is very vulnerable.
Sheet C, a wonderful shot to pick out the red that was nearly frozen. And now Team Kennedy is lying 4. And so a pressure-filled draw against 4. I mean, the draw path is there. It's not guarded, and he will have backing on that path. But a shot that is very easy to miss, and if he misses it, he could give up a bundle.
Red team putting up a guard. I believe that was FL.
That was FL, who comes back and takes a seat. All right, the hammer on sheet C is curling hard, curling too hard, I think.
See it on the side of our screen here. We're a screenshot right now.
Yeah, it is curling too much. Well, no, it just hung on.
My.
And that is, he got his one.
Wow.
So that is going to be another point for Greek Freak.
Team Kennedy was sitting 4. But again, that's why you don't call it until the last stone is thrown. You know, just like in opera, the old saying is you have to wait until the fat lady sings. No, don't comment on me about that. That's about sexist. It's just an old euphemism. All right, and that one's just going to glide on in the 4-foot. Very nice glide.
I was never in an opera. I was in a production of Carmina Burana that had opera singers in it. Neither one was overweight.
Oh, okay.
And fortunately, none of the singers were overweight because they were all on this scaffolding, which looked kind of terrifying. I actually was in the pit on a riser, so I could see over a stage that was thrust out into the front row where dancers could go, and each day I was terrified that one of the dancers was going to trip over my gong and end up on top of me in the pit.
No, I believe if I recall correctly, back when I was a freshman in high school, we did, oh gosh, what was the name of the writer? Oh, good Lord, now someone I'm blanking. But I played the part of Duchess Wilhelmina Harmony. And I had 3 lines of 1 word each.
Hey, this
Yay.
nice shot here, making contact with two of the yellows, but not just kind of sending the yellow one. Still not quite under cover. I think Al McNeil is looking at guarding that from the right. And yep, that's what they're going to do. Taking the counterclockwise turn.
No, it was Wilhelmina Bordoni.
Ah,
I apologize. There was a movie about that. All right, I'm just going to have to Google that or just rack my brain for it because now it's going to bother me.
in high school, I was in the play Anastasia, from which the musical Anastasia faced plagiarism charges because it was exactly the same plot with exactly the same characters, but they claimed it was a different something or other. In fact, they wrote my part out of the play, which was kind of unfortunate. It was actually a fairly big part. This draw may be a little heavier than, yeah, maybe a tiny bit heavier than Al McNeil wanted, but it works as a guard. In fact, it works very well as a guard. So there is 1 yellow in there, and it's going to be very difficult for Dave Schlanger's team to get rid of that. He's got 2 shots at it, and he has nothing he can, well, he has 1 that he can promote all the way over on the left. Oh, I'm wrong. This is still,
we're not up to skips yet.
right, we're not at the skip routes yet. This is actually Brandon Neff's second shot. And I think they're going to try to just get some yellows out of there, perhaps hit the one that was just thrown and have it carry them into the, get 1 the forefoot. But from the way this is going, that's not going to happen. No, he takes out the middle of those guards instead of the one that was on the right, and that doesn't really help. Because there were 3 guards, now there are 2, but there's not enough space between them to get anything in there. Sheet A, incidentally, is up to skip routes. Diana Black throwing into, throwing against 2 and trying to get rid of 2 of them and narrowly missed the second. Got 1 out of there. Oh, yeah, see if Mindy has answered our questions. Yes, I am correct.
What?
That Fanny Flagg wrote Fried Green Tomatoes at the Whistle Stop Cafe, from which the movie was taken.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mindy, you are a gem.
All right, so now, Mindy, can you look up any credits that Gary Berghoff had besides MASH?
And Match Game.
And Match Game, and believe he was on Love Boat at one point, like a lot of people in that era were.
And that was kind of fun. You just got a little glimpse of different people. I mean, the acting wasn't all there with the guests, but
I think they were. Yeah, I think the guests were kind of there for a nice little vacation. I think Jamie Farr was on that a couple of times.
yes, he was.
Yes.
You know, after MASH, they tried to make a show, and it was called After MASH, and it took 3 of the characters.
It was not good. I saw a couple of episodes, and
There's a couple episodes long, and that was it.
the opening credits looked like the opening credits of a soap opera, which was not a good sign. Speaking of not a good sign, I think this is curling too much on Alan McNeil.
It may be
Although
promoting instead of.
Well, actually, I think that actually turned out okay because now he's spread out his guards a bit and still hasn't left the path. Still hasn't left the port between them. Now it's Dave Schlonger's shot, and I think he's looking at a double takeout. If he can pull off a double takeout here, he's going to be in position to score. Speaking of being in position to score, Greek Freak, that was an acrobatic bunch of sweeping there to bump a Team Kennedy Stone a bit farther back. They are scooting right along, but they are not yet to skip rots or anything. I believe that was the last, or yeah, we're still in seconds rots over there, but they're all in play. Our feature sheet here is going to be fascinating because this is where Dave Schlonger certainly needs to score here. Down 5-2. He jogs down the ice.
I wanted to clear that, but we're just open.
I heard open and I heard double.
Hmm.
I don't know if that meant that we're going for open rather than double or what.
Okay, let's run the yellow one straight back.
Right.
It's got to be nose.
And Dave Schlonger, when he gets down to the hack, one of those situations where things will look a little different when you get in the hack, and so they're changing the call, trying to do a nose double. Like telling you on sheet A, Terry Smith has 2 biting, I think, and he's going to draw for 3.
Oh.
So shake up that one a bit. Oh, do we have the sheet D update? Because kick your asterisk.
No, we don't.
When we weren't looking, put up 3 to tie that game at 4. Some really intriguing games in this session. All right, Dave Schlonger
Here we go.
throwing ice shed weight.
Oh, goodness.
This is going to be a good effort. I think it's going to drift a little bit too far to the right. Yeah, too far to the right. I guess at that weight, it just wasn't going to curl.
Well, I took out 1.
Only took out 1. It took out a guard that Al McNeil will probably just replace and leave himself with a guarded shot rock there. On sheet A, I think Terry Smith has probably pulled off this draw. It's slowing down nicely. Diana Black is going to try to sweep it out the back.
I kept it up on screen.
Nope, not going to do it. That's going to be 3 yellow, unless the back one is an optical illusion and not biting. I believe that is 3 for Techni Alapias.
And we're going to put 3 up there. 5-1 over on sheet C. 4-4 over on sheet D.
All right, so what is Alan McNeil deciding to do here? If Alan wants to get greedy, he can take out the red that's in the back and then hope that Dave Schlonger does not complete the takeout of the one that's in the forefoot.
I don't know.
Gary Berghoff was in a band with Linda Carter. That I had no idea. And a lot of guest spots. He guested on every show that was in the 70s. A band with Northern Virginia's own Linda Carter.
Mm-hmm.
Actually lived not far from my father-in-law.
Called The Relatives.
Yeah.
Hollywood Squares, The New Adventures of Wonder Woman.
Which actually at this point would be the older adventures of younger woman, Wonder Woman. But really one of the pretty good show in the 70s, especially in an era where there was still a fair amount of sexism. Then seeing Linda Carter going on beating up bad guys was not a bad thing.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, Alan McNeil, not sure if he called the draw, but that's where it is. I think he probably did call the guard. I suppose the shot that's half draw, oh, that's right, the Gerard or the
Shard?
Or the Gaw.
Ah.
If it's a draw/guard, then it's a
Gaw.
Gerard or a Gaw. Trying to invent new terms. Maybe I should write the TSN people.
You should write these down. Yes,
right.
I believe you should.
So, all right. So Dave Schlonger, with his hammer, The obvious shot here is the one they're taking, which is to do a drake out or a taw. I suppose you would just call this a takeout, but it's going to be a delicate weight takeout to try to bump the yellow. He only needs to bump it.
And you mean a
3
dwake
feet.
out? Delicate weight, DW, a dwake out.
A drake out.
A
That's
dwake
right.
out. Now, every time I hear the word Drake, I think of the old Disney show, Drake and Josh.
Well, there is a Drake who is a popular R&B hip hop star
Mhm.
who is from Canada, so I think he would appreciate having
wow.
a curling shot named after him.
Mhm.
Actually, a big fan of the soccer club Toronto FC. In fact, helped lure. Oh my goodness, what player was it? Fantastic player. Came here for a couple years, went back. This one's going to go wide on Dave Schwanger. It is not going to get there. That is going to be
Ooh, and he took out his
took
own.
out his own. That's going to be a steal of. I'm
One.
sure it's just one. I don't think the other yellow one is
No,
biting.
it's
Yeah, it's got to be outside. That looks like a steal of one.
well.
Aha!
There. See, I did not stand on the chair.
There we go. I am married to someone who is 5'2". I am used to reaching for things. 20 years as of this year.
Oh, wonderful. Fantastic.
I know it's been longer for you because you have kids who are older than my marriage, but
Oh, actually, no.
ah,
No, my kid's father has remarried.
ah,
But it's okay. We all get along. It's rather humorous. Yeah, his
good.
current wife and I and he, we all kind of were juggling around when the girls were both playing soccer on different
good.
teams, practicing different days, different times, or at the exact same time on different fields.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, my wife's parents were the same situation. When even by the time that I met them, her father had remarried, and her mom remarried later. Her dad no longer with us, unfortunately, but I still have still have a grandparent-in-law and two step-grandparents that are two step-grandparents-in-law, which is nice because I have no ancestors left on my side, not even an uncle, unfortunately.
Oh, wow.
Um,
I'm sorry to hear that.
The sad part is that I met my wife in 1996, and my mom died in 1995, so she never got a chance to meet her. She would have absolutely adored her. So we're through 5 ends. We're in the 6th end now of every game. Going to take a peek over at sheet C, where we have more complications. The Kennedys are taking a long look at this. They are facing 3 that are scattered, making a neat little triangle there. I believe that's an isosceles. I'd have to ask my son.
Yes, you should have brought him today.
I at some point need to bring my kids here. I have one who would certainly enjoy the glitter bonspiel. I won't go into more detail than that, but there's one who would certainly enjoy the glitter bonspiel.
Well, everyone's just completely relaxed. And they're not as concerned about the competition as much. It's just
The glitter bonspiel is
a lot.
really a fantastic event. Trying to see which rock we're on here. Team Kennedy will have hammer. I believe this is the first of the skip rocks
On sheet C?
on sheet C. Have a dual snowplow kind of effect. I don't know how they do that without bumping into each other. This is a draw, though. Draw against 3, trying to freeze to that red one. Not bad. I mean, it's not quite a freeze, but it is in a place where it will be difficult to hit. Well,
All right, this one looks on B targeting. It may. No, it's going to miss the guard, the yellow guard that's out front.
think that's probably what they intended because that certainly wasn't thrown with enough weight to move that. Now, of course, that said, they just left a completely exposed rock in the 12-foot. All right, so the situation on sheet B, let me see if I can count how many. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, this is indeed the last rock for Greek Freak, leading 5-1 without the hammer. If they can pick that yellow one out of there, and leave the shooter, they will have 4. I don't think that's going to happen though. I think if they were to hit the yellow with enough weight at that angle, they would not be able to keep the shooter. I don't think they'd mind that in the least. I think if they can make the Kennedys draw against 3, they'd be perfectly happy. Having this, you just heard the call hard because there is a guard that is very much in play here and very much in play, and it wrecks. In fact, that's going to leave a fairly wide port for Team Kennedy to draw. They need the 4-foot. They just need to touch the 4-foot. The line should not be a problem. It's just a question of throwing the right weight, which, as we all know, can be a challenge.
Yeah, as the game progresses, the ice conditions do change. You have to stay on your toes. That's part of the skip's job, is to mind the ice. As opposed in London, they tell you to mind the gap with their subway system. Here it's mind the ice.
All right, so I'm going to keep an eye on Team Kennedy's hammer here because they are pretty far along this end, and the D event semifinals are actually quite interesting. There's some very good teams in action. Not that the C event teams are very, very good as well. Thinking of more trivia we can ask Mindy about.
Well, true. I do have a couple of curling dad jokes for you.
Okay. Well, let's see. Speaking of dad and granddad, Team Kennedy is throwing. I think this is too much weight for what they're trying. But they do have backing.
Trying to get it on the viewer.
This
I can't.
might shape up to be pretty good, but they need to make contact with that red. No, that's just going to be 1.
Okay. But at least it's 1 for Team Kennedy.
It is 1. They are going to be down 5-2 after 6 ends. We are getting to the 3/4 mark of some of these games.
Sorry for flipping the cameras on you, our viewers. I was trying to get a slight view of sheet C. Okay, here.
And on our feature game, this is looking to be.
Ooh, it's gonna hang.
It's a flash that hangs. So that would be a flang, or hash.
Oh, I love doing webcasting with Bo.
Wait till we do a double takeout that.
A double?
That would be a Dakin, a dake hole, a double takeout and roll.
Oh boy.
So.
Yeah. I'm still happy with Shard.
Shard.
And a Dwake out.
That's right. So in our feature game, this is the first of the Vice Rods thrown by Dan Kennedy.
Okay.
I believe Alan wants to sweep this one
into the house, or at least to be guarded and plug up that port. Well, let's look overhead. Okay. Not at this time, but it looks like yellow is sitting 2 at this point.
It is, I think, but with so many rots left, you could certainly start just peeling some things out of there.
Normal's fine.
David said something about rolling here.
Rolling.
Now we're making Blues Brothers references. That great scene where they have, at the bar where they have both kinds of music, country and Western. Okay, this one's going to hit the guard. They peeled their own guard, which is unfortunate because now Alan McNeil can pick his promotion opportunity if he so chooses. Pick many promotion opportunities. He can just essentially put a wall in front of the house.
Build that wall.
Yeah, a
Build
wall of
that
his own.
wall.
Oh,
Sorry, we're not going to get political here,
No.
although we are in the greater Washington, D.C. metro area. So if you live in this area, you really can't escape it. Unless you do what I do, which is I don't watch the news. If it's important enough, they'll talk about it on the radio. But I do need to pay better attention to the weather because I was surprised that it was pouring rain last night.
Yeah, I don't watch the news, but I get e-newsletters every day from the Post, the Times, and the Guardian, and I also subscribe to a few other newsletters that I don't. Well, yeah, I get. I think other newsletters I can't remember because those are the 3 that I read each day.
Oh, I get our club newsletter, the PCC newsletter.
Absolutely, that's the best newsletter to get.
And the GNCC.
I do get GNCC as well. And I get the curling news and the U.S. curling news. So the one put out by the Federation and the one put out by the hockey news. All right, so Al McNeil just has put up his wall.
Oh, well, his soldiers are not standing in line, but you get the point. We have to think of some more 70s references. Mindy hasn't looked up anything in a couple of minutes for us.
Okay, Mindy, name the 2 series in which Greg Evigan starred.
Ooh, I know one of them.
One of them had a monkey.
That's the one I remember.
That's right.
That's right. After that one song that did very well on the charts, afterwards we had a bunch of TV shows based upon long-distance truckers.
That's right.
I can think of 2 right off the top of my head, but I know there were probably more. Mindy, you can probably remember the one that I'm thinking of.
Greg who? Evigan. That's E-V-I-G-A-N. I think one of those shows was probably in the 80s. One of them the second one had a co-star, equal billing, who went on to be in a long-running sitcom.
That's the closest spelling I believe that it is. Rather handsome gentleman back in his day. He's probably still a handsome gentleman. We just haven't seen him. BJ and the Bear is correct. That's
correct.
the one I know off the top of my head. And the other?
You know, because you 2 have not gotten this one, I'm a little bit concerned that I have it wrong. And so I am going to double check that I am right. And I am right.
Yeah.
Yes, he was on in a second show. Will it help if I give the name of his co-star?
Yes.
His co-star went on to be on the long-running sitcom Mad About You. He is Paul Reiser.
Oh. Okay, now I'm really confused. Wow.
You got it.
What was it?
Mindy got it. My 2 Dads.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Interesting. All right, and in case you missed it, Team McNeil added to their wall.
Yep.
So the ability of Deep Tzatziki to promote their red and
I think the shot here is to do the raised takeout, hit their red into the yellow, take the yellow out, and then they would be line 2. In fact, if they want to make it absolutely perfect, they would hit the red off that yellow and then roll that yellow behind the wall that Mr. McNeil has constructed. That would be quite a shot. That would be sort of a Gushu Homan level shot. Rachel, I believe, is back playing this year. After she has given birth. Nina Roth is not playing. Her team is being skipped by Tabitha Peterson and actually doing very, very well. Speaking of doing very, very well on sheet a very nice shot there from Terry Smith has left him with a pretty good shot rock. Okay, Dave Schlanger throwing
Wow.
considerable weight at this one. This is hack or even parking lot. Oh, this looks good. Oh, he did exactly what I thought would be the best possible outcome. The raise, take out, and roll.
Roll undercover.
Right, which would be a rake roll. As opposed to a Rick roll.
Yes, they are two different
Right.
things, thank you.
Because Dave Schlanger at this point is never going to give this up.
Now Alan McNeil's in a little bit of a pickle. Now
FL was looking at me and laughing as if she heard me.
She probably did. And as you saw, she had turned around.
Emily's laughing at me. Apparently I have a gallery behind me. I did not realize.
Yes, you
Yesterday
do.
they had the TV broadcast on the big TV in here. Instead of watching good curling, oh, well, I shouldn't say instead of watching good curling.
Instead of
There's
watching
good curling out here. Instead of watching professional curling. On sheet A, I believe we had a steal of one because Diana Black was not able to remove the shot that Terry Smith threw that was very good.
So you think Techni Alapilis?
That looks
got
like a
one?
steal of one for Terry
All
Smith
right.
and Techni Alapilis.
Well, then we're going to, going based on your information, I'm
Right.
going to assume.
And what is Alan McNeil doing? I guess he is trying to promote one, but
I'm not sure. It's going out wide.
it is going out wide, and I thought at first it was too heavy, but no, it doesn't seem that way. He's going to give it a little
Oomph.
and he's not going to get shot out of that. So now Dave Schlanger can just draw around guard into the 8-foot
and get two.
and pick up two. That's correct.
Or promote his guard on the right to go in, which could be a good plan B.
Yeah, it could. If he nicks that guard, it might not. Still might be able to get two. It might be difficult.
Dave Schlanger is getting down in the hack, and as we've said before, you'll see many curlers clean the bottom of the stone because you don't want it to pick up any kind of debris because it will affect the trajectory. And 99.99% of the time in a negative way.
Okay. Very quick sheet D update. That would be that Team Assertion scored 1 in the 6th with hammer. They are up 5-4. As we watch Dave Schlanger's draw attempt here, the sweepers are completely off of it. This looks like it might be too heavy. Yeah, here comes the sweep from Dan Kennedy. I don't even know that he really needs to sweep it. It is too heavy. That is going to be just 1 for Dave Schlanger and for the Tzatziki.
Well, I think they'll be at least happy with the 1 for now.
Well, they are going to be down 7-3.
Thank you. All right, indeed, we have updated the scoreboard on sheet D. You can see it's 5-4 in favor of Team Assertion.
Sheet A updated with the score that I thought they did, which was a steal of 1.
So that's 6-4 with
4
in favor of Mamma Mia.
The scores have come off on sheet B. Did Dave Schlanger shake hands? It must be. The scores have come down off the board. They are lining up the rots, and they have shaken hands. That is a bit surprising just because, well, yesterday I saw a team that was down 8 in the 8th end continue to play, needing an 8-ender to send it to, and in fact, they continued to play after it was obvious, after one of their rots was out of play. So that was, I guess, at that point, just became a practice session. Here at this point,
C far.
C far.
C far. Down. That one.
Yep.
Thank you.
There you go.
We are switching our cameras to sheet C. So give us a moment. Okay. And you're going to see a little bit of sheet D in the background as well, which includes our infamous Ken Clark.
In fact, I'm going to actually watch the webcast now because that's going to give me the best angles here, combined with, let's see here. Applause now for the teams that have finished their D event semifinal, and we will be seeing Mr. McNeil again at noon. A mere hour and 15 minutes from now.
Yeah. So maybe that was a courtesy thing from Dave Schlanger's team, saying giving
Giving
Alan
a bit of
McNeil's
rest.
team a little more time to rest up.
That's right.
And that wouldn't surprise me. Curlers really do, after the game, you and your opponents sit at the same table, and we call it broom stacking.
Yeah.
Just hang out, become better friends. The one thing we learned about Ken Clark before he went out onto the ice, he was wearing a sweatshirt from a town in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, which I was like, what? I'm like, Lidditz, what do you know about Lidditz? He said that's where he grew up, which is like 10, 15 minutes down the road from where I grew up. A couple of years apart, though.
I've yet to meet anyone from Georgia here.
Ah. Oh, I think a couple of Bonspiels ago you might have, but
Yeah, there was a group that came up from Peachtree, I believe.
yeah.
Yeah, they have 2 curling clubs in Atlanta now, I believe.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I hope they're not both called Peachtree.
No.
I'm
Although
just-
there are many Peachtree streets in,
yes,
in
downtown Atlanta.
It makes things very confusing. I cannot drive in Atlanta.
No,
It's unless I'm taking 85 through there and
out the
trying
other
to-
side.
out the other side. Exactly. We did have a nice time with the kids a few years ago, going to the aquarium and the Coca-Cola Museum and so forth. All right, so sheet C, I'm going to, again, a complicated view here. Greek Freak has shot. Team Kennedy has hammer.
Here's your view of the house. Back to the hack. Oh, you can't see. There, you can see now faces. There we go. Of Cedar and Hudson.
Trying to see what they can see at the other end. There is a port that they can fire through. Maybe get rid of the red shot rock, but it's going to be, well, I don't know how much they can get rid of it. They can put their yellow on top of that red.
Okay, through the narrow port. Let's look at the overhead.
Got through the port.
Oh,
Tapped the red, but where did that roll? It rolled where it is not shot.
give me a second.
It is second. So
Move the scoreboard for you.
red is shot. Greek Freak with the hammer. If I said Team Kennedy had the hammer, I was wrong. It is Greek Freak.
And I'm not sure, in case those out there watching have not noticed, Greek Freak, the freak part is, it looks a little bit better on their t-shirts with Greek font type lettering, but it's FR34K, which is a reference to the Greek professional basketball player, which I cannot recall his name.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
That's it.
I was close, but Antetokounmpo. There's an anti and there's a cum and a po in there. I don't know.
And I know
the rest
there's it starts with Giannis.
Giannis. Yes.
Giannis.
Giannis. They did not do particularly well in the World Championships, despite Giannis' presence. So the draw attempt from Greek Freak coming all the way around, it's going to hit, I think, it just nicked the guard a little bit. I think they were just trying to get a second one in there, and
There's not.
Didn't quite because the guard. That's one red. I'm not sure what.
Oh, I see handshakes.
Yes, we do. So our
All right.
D event final is set. It's going to be sweeping generalization versus Greek freak. All right, so we can turn our attention now to our C event semifinals.
So which do you want, a sheet A or sheet? Well, they're both pretty close. You've got Mamma Mia over Technialapia 6-4, or Team Assertion over Kick Your Asterisk 5-4.
Let's go to sheet D because they are farther along. They are in skip rocks in the 7th end.
Okay. Can you hit D near?
D near or far?
D near. Because they're shooting towards us.
No,
Oh, no,
no.
D far.
D
Oh,
far.
good lord. All right, so excuse us while the cameras reset. Okay, here we go. That would be Andrew Inglis.
He seemed most unhappy with that when he released.
Okay.
Very
I'm gonna
unhappy.
move the scoreboard so you can see a little better.
And I don't even know what happened to that. It just went to the right, out of play.
Sideways. Maybe it picked up a. We call it a pick
I
when
don't
it,
know.
it like hits a piece of debris and then.
But I don't know because he was definitely not happy with that when it left his hand. Yeah, it's probably good to keep the cameras on sheet D because from my vantage point, I have a pretty good view of sheet A where they're just now getting to skip rocks. Mamma Mia has the lead and the hammer, and they have 2 in the house. One of them just in front of the tee line, so not a bad spot.
Okay, and I think on sheet D we are up to Skips Rocks because we see Joe Assertion. That is him, correct?
Yes.
Yes, the back of his jacket says Assertion. Okay. He is now in the hack, setting up. And pushing off the hack. And there's the release. Couldn't really see it, but there it was. Okay, sweepers being called to duty. And Joe sliding up behind it to keep an eye on his rock. All right, they believe they called a guard because that's where it ended up. Let's do a quick overview. And it looks like 2 red at this point in time for Team Assertion. So as you can see, they're talking a little bit of strategy here. The Kick Your Asterisk team. It's like Judy and Andy are, oh, by the way, they are husband and wife. So.
I did not know that, so.
Oh, yeah.
I am still learning some of the people here. So.
Well, the Embassy Row last year's focus was on Scotland, and Andrew is a native of Scotland.
Okay.
So they spent some time on the phone with Mom, getting some really good recipes to feed all of us, which the food was like, wow. And the food this year, I'm telling you, when they were making lunch or putting dinner together, the aromas in the warm room just made you salivate, so.
I am not wearing my Enter the Haggis shirt today.
Oh.
I am.
You should have wore an Uzo shirt today.
I actually at one point had the goalkeeper jersey of the Greek goalkeeper. We should watch this shot because this is the hammer.
Okay, just a gentle sweep there. Okay, I'm going to switch to that overhead view as it needs to out-count, and it doesn't. 1 red.
1 red. That is going to be
6-4.
6-4. That's right. I forgot that they did pick up 3 to keep it relatively close. Okay.
D near.
D near.
D near.
All right. Diana Black throwing the first of her skip rods, and this is just simply an up weight, get the yellow out of there shot.
Okay.
She has hammer, and assuming she hits this, she will have 2 in the house again. No, 3. Bonk.
Did her shooter stay?
Her shooter stayed. Hit it right on
Okay.
the nose.
Was it-
And
Oop, now hammer comes up. So we'll see if that remains the same.
no, red has the hammer.
Oh, my
Yep.
bad.
So
Oops.
rough situation here for Terry Smith.
All right, and
Yeah,
wow.
on sheet D, we have the throw through and avoid complications, the intentional, certainly an intentional throw through there.
Okay.
The ones that in events where they keep stats, the Statmeisters simply do not score that shot.
Okay. See, that's a shot I can make. I can do that. So I always like it when it comes to that point in the game and no, and intentional flash. Oh, I can do that.
Terry Smith is, the broom is right between the 2 reds in there. From this angle, I don't think that's going to be a double takeout though. It might. Terry with a big wind up and slides and pushes it as he releases, which will make my instructors very mad. But no harm done here. It is going dead straight and bonk. Oh, not quite bonk on the others, and also doesn't keep the shooter around. That means this is going to be a draw for 3 for Diana Black. I think.
Okay.
I think our gains are just about over here. Team Assertion throws another one through. Yellow tried to throw a corner guard, but it is out near the hog line, near the sideline. There is nothing it is guarding out there. So, but we are about to see the pizza-panted person from Potomac.
Mr. Paul.
Right.
Paul Luthi.
Pizza-panted Paul Potomac.
He does wear those particular pants for Sunday Pizza League, if you could imagine.
Oh, that sounds good. I have had fun sparring in Pizza League this year.
All right, hammer over on A.
Yep. Sweepers are on it. I think this will have enough weight to get there, though. I think.
We're hearing.
Oh, no, sheet A, I've played on there plenty. That sometimes has a dead spot or 2.
Ooh, and now, okay, Bruce Black is out
Bruce Black
there
is out
sweeping as well.
This looks like it's going to. It's there. I can see on the overhead.
Okay, is it 3 or 2?
That should be 3. I would think we would see handshakes here, being 9-4 after the 7th end. And the score goes up. Yep, it is 9-4.
So it's not. Oh, I see a handshake.
Yeah.
Okay, sheet A is final.
So,
Ooh.
Mamma Mia.
Ooh, I typed it in wrong. I typed in 9.
All right, so our last remaining game here is on sheet D. Yellow has just thrown, Kick Your Asterisk has just thrown another corner guard, and Team Assertion is throwing another one through. Just not taking any chances with anything cluttered in the house. The second guard that was thrown by Kick Your Asterisk is a useful one, and they are going to draw behind it. Of course, it is almost lunchtime.
All right, so a quick looking at our finals for those who just tuned in. Mamma Mia had 9 over Techni Alapias 4 over on sheet A. That game is final. Sheet B, Sweeping Generalization had 7 over Deep Tzatziki had 3. Sheet C, Greek Freak had 6 over Team Kennedy, whose members were Kennedy, and Kennedy had 2.
And sheet D, the draw attempt just adds to the corner guards. And now we are far enough into the end where you can hit the guards, and that is exactly what Joe Assertion is calling. And if he makes these guards go away, it is just going to be open season for the rest of this. They just need to make sure they don't give up two. Let's see, Ken Cart sweeping furiously, so they must be thinking it's going to hit the first guard, and it does. It doesn't get the second one, and so that roll.
And the shooter stays.
Yeah, that roll could be problematic. We should be about to have some applause for the teams coming in from sheet A. There we go. All right.
And yes, we were applauding both teams.
So that's what we do. All right, sheet D. The fourth shot of the end for our yellow team after Team Assertion threw their first three away and then took out a guard with their fourth. Now we're seeing another attempt to draw behind that corner guard. It is not going to get buried.
But it is in the house.
It is in the house. Joe Assertion immediately puts down the broom next to that yellow.
Take it out.
He wants to take it out, and he wants to eat.
I mean, it is not out of the realm of possibilities that Kick Your Asterisk could pull a 3.
It is not. It's still. Oh, is this one going to wreck the guard? No, it ticks the guard.
Instead.
But the shooter rolls so. Well, it does clean up a little bit. Oh, sorry. But they are going to have to do something here. I don't know. This could be interesting because now our yellow team, Kick Your Asterisk, has hammer. They can put a second one in the house now.
Okay, and this is Judy Rakusin,
who's playing Vice for them today. She threw fourth stones earlier in this Bonspiel yesterday. This could be getting interesting. And this draw is, they're trying to get it in behind this guard. No, it's not. It's going to stop. So it's basically another guard, but it's not guarding anything just yet. And Joe Assertion says, let's take another swing at this one in the house.
All right, the sweepers are being called into action. Hard to, you can hear them yelling. All right, here we go. Nice view, nice view.
And
is it gonna?
Yep, got enough.
Okay.
Got enough to send it flying.
Shooter rolls out of play, and so does.
Yeah. So a lot of sweeping, but the result is exactly what they wanted, which was no rots in the house.
It is open house season.
So Judy Rakusin will try probably the same shot, get a yellow one under the two guards that will affect anything. Again, there's also a very long corner guard that would only affect the longest of draw paths, or the widest of draw paths. This one, I think, is also going to wreck on the guard. No, it's not, because it was heavy enough that it's going to go through.
Ooh, yes,
yep,
in the front door, out the back, didn't even bother to say hello on its way.
Yep. So.
Goodness gracious.
So things are shaping up very nicely for Team Assertion. They are going to probably take out the yellow guard just so there's no promotion opportunity, and so the only thing that yellow can do would be to get both of their skip rots into the house and have them stay to force an extra end. And if they get rid of the guards, or at least one of them, that will make it that much more complicated for them to do so.
And we at skip rots?
We are at skip rots. Joe Assertion throwing his first, taking dead aim.
And nice release.
Yeah, calling on the sweepers.
All right, that's going pretty fast.
Yes.
Switching cameras.
Got a curl of, well, oh boy, that curled a lot all of a sudden and flashed.
Another one. Didn't bother to say hello?
That I did not expect. I thought it.
No. Goodness.
All right, so Andy English is going to go to the other end. His last name sounds like English, but he is actually Scottish.
Is English.
English, that's correct. And so the call here obviously is to draw behind those guards. If they can draw behind, and if Joe Assertion cannot do something about that with his last shot, then we could see a draw to send this to an extra end. And as we found out yesterday, semifinals go into an extra end. It is not skip rods or skip draw.
True, which I will admit again, I was wrong.
I actually had a game that went to skip draw against Michael Dobbs
Oh.
in Pizza League.
Oh, goodness.
And my skip, Keith Wood, put one in the forefoot for the win.
Oh, yes. Keith is a pretty good curler.
I think it was, I actually would credit the sweeping on that one.
That means you were sweeping, right?
Yeah, it does.
Of course, of course.
Oh, boy, Andy's shot is coming up very
Short.
light, very light.
Short.
So we're going to be to the point where that means it's going to have to be one of those tick a guard into the house and keep your shooter in the house to score situations.
All at the same time.
Right. Joe Assertion actually has an interesting choice to make here, because what do you do to prevent that? What do you do to prevent a shot that's already very difficult?
Well, I would say take out one of the guards that's sitting really close to the center line. So if they do promote, it's only going to be the shooter and one.
I think what it looks like what they're going to try to do, though, is draw behind that. Well, they don't even have to draw behind, but draw into the forefoot so that even if you get two of them in there, there's you would also have to get that one that's in the middle of the house pretty far out, because you're not going to get your guard and your shooter to the forefoot. That's just physically impossible. The best you could hope for would be to get, the two of them hanging somewhere around in the blue.
Okay, here we go.
So Joe Assertion basically now taking a 1% shot down to an 0.1% shot, or maybe an 0.1% shot down to an 0.001 shot. This is coming up light and serving as a guard, which might actually have been the call.
But it's pretty close to the other. Oh.
It is, yeah. So
looks like
now
they're trying to freeze on.
Yeah.
And we do indeed have
handshakes. There's something going to shake hands. That's an impossible shot, and the English is not even going to try it. All right. So we have our finals, and I'm going to read through them rather quickly here. Our A final, of course, we already knew that is going to be Fellowship of the Rink versus Hip Hop Acropolis. Your skips there are Michael Dodd versus Andy Dunham. Our B event final, we also already knew, that's Team Furon, another group of youngsters, and this one is from Plainfield/Triangle. They are playing Children of Dionysus, which is Philadelphia, Butts County, and Potomac. So our the most cosmopolitan of our matchups. The rest are all Potomac. Our D event semifinal is going to be Greek Freak versus Deep Tzatziki. The skips are Mike Parker and David Schlanger. And then we will have, red one on every sheet in this one.
Wow.
We will have, no?
No, Sweeping Generalization was yellow.
Sweeping Generalization was yellow, that's right. And so I almost called that one wrong. That is actually Sweeping Generalizations, skipped by Al McNeil, will be going up against Mamma Mia. Here we go again, which is the Black and Herrera team of fathers and daughters. So, unless you have anything to add, we will see you at noon.
Nothing to add. We will see you at noon.
All right.